The alien ship descended through the clouds with a silent elegance, its surface gleaming like polished obsidian under the midday sun. Commander Eliza Reyes stood at the edge of the landing site, her boots planted firmly in the cracked asphalt. Her olive-green uniform was crisp, her gaze steady, though a muscle in her jaw twitched. She hated being underestimated, and from the moment these aliens had sent their emissary, it had been clear they viewed humanity as little more than an annoyance. The ship's ramp extended with a soft hum, and a tall figure emerged, draped in flowing silver robes that shimmered with an almost liquid quality. Tarsinia, the alien emissary, had an angular grace to her movements, her translucent skin refracting light in a faint rainbow spectrum. She moved with the confidence of someone who had never encountered an equal. "So," Tarsinia began, her voice a melodic hum that carried an undertone of disdain, "these are the leaders of your war apparatus." Her iridescent eyes swept over Eliza and her team, lingering on the bulky crates of weapons stacked nearby. "How quaint." Eliza kept her face neutral. "You asked to see Earth's defense capabilities firsthand. This is standard issue for infantry combat." "Standard issue," Tarsinia repeated, the corners of her thin lips curling into what might have been a smile. "These crude devices of metal and combustion, your species clings to such primitive implements? We have transcended the need for kinetics. Our weaponry operates on principles your minds could scarcely fathom." Behind Eliza, Sergeant Naomi Carter muttered under her breath, "Great. Another intergalactic know-it-all." "Sergeant," Eliza said sharply, though the corner of her own mouth twitched. "Focus." Naomi gave a quick nod, her fiery red hair barely contained by her helmet. She stood with arms crossed, her broad frame radiating defiance. To her right, Lieutenant Aisha Malik observed the exchange silently, her dark eyes assessing every detail of Tarsinia's movements. Aisha's calm demeanor often masked her sharp mind. She had a knack for seeing patterns where others saw chaos. "Allow me to demonstrate," Tarsinia said, stepping aside as three smaller alien crafts descended. They hovered above the ground, releasing spider-like drones that scuttled with eerie precision. Each was no larger than a wolf, their sleek metallic bodies bristling with energy emitters. "These are merely tools," Tarsinia said, her tone almost playful. "But even tools are sufficient for such an exercise. Let us test your weapons against them." Eliza felt her patience wearing thin, but motioned for her team to ready themselves. Private Sophia Nguyen, the youngest of the squad, moved quickly to set up a command console. Despite her slight build and the beads of sweat forming on her brow, Sophia's fingers flew over the keys with practiced efficiency. "This is a joke, right?" Naomi said, hefting a massive machine gun onto her shoulder. "They're sending glorified tin cans against us." "They're testing us," Aisha murmured. "They want us to fail." "And we won't," Eliza said firmly. "Sophia, status." "Drones are armed with energy-based projectiles," Sophia replied, her voice tight with concentration. "Shielded too. Not invulnerable, though. Looks like a concentrated burst could overload them." Tarsinia observed their preparations with amusement. "Take your positions if you insist. This will be brief." The Iron Valkyries moved into formation, their practiced precision giving the lie to the aliens' condescension. Naomi manned a mounted heavy machine gun, its barrels gleaming with oil and wear. Aisha crouched behind a barricade, a rifle slung across her back as she studied the drone's movements through binoculars. Sophia stayed close to Eliza, her tablet providing a real-time feed of the battlefield. The drones attacked first, their energy beams cutting through the air in searing streaks of light. Naomi opened fire, the thunderous roar of her gun a sharp contrast to the alien silence. The bullets tore through the air, sparking harmlessly against the drone's shields at first. But Naomi didn't relent, and the sustained barrage began to strain the barriers. "They're focusing on flanking us," Aisha called out. "Naomi, keep them pinned down." "Eliza, we need heavier firepower on the left." Eliza grabbed a grenade launcher from the nearby crate and moved with purpose. She fired at the nearest drone, the explosion rocking the ground as shrapnel disrupted its shield. Naomi seized the moment to pepper with bullets, and the machine crumpled to the ground, its limbs twitching before going still. Tarsinia's expression shifted, the first hint of uncertainty breaking through her veneer of superiority. "Curious," she murmured. "Your weapons should not have been able to penetrate those shields." "You underestimated us," Eliza shot back, her voice cool. "Humanity has a habit of surprising those who think they're invincible." The battle continued, the drones adapting to the Valkyrie's tactics, but unable to fully counter them. Sophia's quick thinking allowed her to jam one drone's targeting system, sending it spinning into another in a spectacular collision. Aisha's precision strikes disrupted the formation, forcing the remaining machines to retreat temporarily. "Status," Eliza demanded, reloading her weapon. 2 down, 1 disabled, 3 still active, Sophia replied. "But they're regrouping. We've bought time, not victory." Tarsinia's face darkened as she addressed Eliza directly. "You are clever, I'll grant you that. But cleverness will not save you from true power. Shall we escalate?" "Escalate all you want," Naomi shot back, her gun still smoking. "We'll keep bringing the fight." Eliza stepped forward, meeting Tarsinia's gaze. "If you think this is a game, you're mistaken. This isn't just about technology. It's about survival. And humans excel at that." Tarsinia hesitated, the confidence in her stance faltering ever so slightly. "Very well. Let us see how far your resilience truly goes." Eliza turned to her team. "We're just getting started," she said, her voice steady. The Valkyries regrouped, their determination unwavering as they prepared for whatever came next. The faint hum of more drones in the distance signaled the battle was far from over, and the anticipation was electric. For the first time, Tarsinia realized she might have made a grave miscalculation. The desert air shimmered with heat, and the distant rumble of engines echoed across the barren expanse. The iron Valkyries crouched low in the shifting sands, their breaths steady despite the tension tightening every muscle. The alien drones had regrouped, their sleek forms now reinforced by larger, more menacing constructs. Tarsinia had kept her promise to escalate. Eliza scanned the horizon through her binoculars. 6 drones advanced in formation, flanked by 2 towering alien walkers that moved with an eerie, insect-like grace. Each step of their multi-jointed limbs sent vibrations through the earth. High above, an alien command ship hovered, its shadow stretching over the battlefield like a grim omen. "Eliza," Sophia whispered, her eyes glued to the glowing screen of her tablet. "Those walkers have integrated shielding. Regular fire won't cut it. We'll need something stronger. Targeted strikes, maybe." "Noted," Eliza replied, her voice calm. "Naomi, you're on suppression fire. Aisha, coordinate with Sophia to identify weak points. We hit them hard and fast. No hesitation." "Got it," Naomi said, her hands already adjusting the grip on her machine gun. Despite the sweat streaking her face, her grin was fierce. Time to show these tin cans what humans can do. The drones moved first, breaking formation to sweep across the battlefield in rapid, coordinated strikes. They unleashed a torrent of energy blasts, carving deep gouges in the sand and forcing the Valkyries to scatter. Naomi opened fire, her machine gun roaring to life, spitting rounds at an almost impossible rate. The drones' shields flickered under the relentless barrage, and one veered off course, sparks trailing from its undercarriage. "They're flanking," Aisha shouted, her rifle snapping to her shoulder as she fired off precise shots. Her bullets pinged off a drone's outer plating, forcing it to divert its aim. "Naomi, cover the left." "Eliza, we've got a weak spot on the walker's rear joints. Sophia's pulling up schematics." Eliza adjusted her position, her boots digging into the sand as she fired her grenade launcher. The explosion rocked one of the walkers, but its shield absorbed the brunt of the impact. "Sophia, I need that data now." "Almost there." Sophia's fingers danced across her tablet, her face illuminated by the glow of alien tech overlays. Got it. Rear actuator joints are lightly armored. Naomi's heavy fire can weaken them, but we'll need to breach the shields first. Eliza weighed their options in a split second. Aisha, keep their attention on the front. Naomi, shift focus to those joints. I'll move in with charges once the shields are down. Sophia, give us a distraction. Anything to throw off their targeting systems. On it. Sophia replied, plugging a cable into the interface of an alien drone she had disabled earlier. Her makeshift override sent a pulse through the network, causing one of the active drones to spin erratically. The disruption gave the Valkyries a brief opening, and they seized it. Naomi adjusted her aim, her machine gun shredding through the sand and debris as she targeted the walker's rear. The bullets hammered the shield relentlessly, and after a few tense moments, it flickered and failed. Eliza, go. Aisha called, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Eliza didn't hesitate. She darted from cover, a satchel of high-powered charges slung across her shoulder. She sprinted toward the towering walker, her movements swift and deliberate. Energy blasts scorched the ground inches from her boots, but she didn't falter. Reaching the walker's exposed joint, Eliza planted the charges with practiced efficiency. The timer beeped faintly as she set the fuse. Clear out, she shouted, diving for cover as the explosion ripped through the air. The walker let out a mechanical groan, its rear limb collapsing in a spray of molten metal and sparks. Off balance, it swayed before toppling, the ground trembling beneath its massive weight. Yes, Naomi shouted, her triumphant cheer drowned out by the sound of another drone exploding under her fire. Tarsinia's voice crackled over their comms, sharp and disbelieving. How are you doing this? These machines are designed to adapt, to overcome any primitive assault. Eliza keyed her comm, her tone sharp. You underestimated us, Tarsinia. We may not have your fancy tech, but we have something you don't, Grit. You can't program that. A second walker advanced, its plasma cannons glowing ominously. Aisha called out, Eliza, we've got company. Same strategy. No, Eliza said, her mind racing. This one's different. It's faster. Sophia, what's the shield's status? Stronger than the first, Sophia replied, frustration lacing her voice. We'll need a concentrated strike. Maybe wait. If we hit the power core directly, we might disable it entirely. How do we get to the core? Naomi asked, her gun still blazing. There's a vent on the underside, Sophia explained. Small, but accessible if someone can get close enough. Eliza didn't need to hear more. I'll do it. Cover me. Commander, Aisha started, but Eliza cut her off. No arguments. Hold the line and keep their focus. The Valkyries fell into position, their fire coordinated and relentless as Eliza moved toward the walker. The sand burned beneath her boots as she weaved through the chaos, her eyes locked on the glowing vent beneath the machine. The walker's plasma cannon swiveled, targeting her, but Naomi unleashed a barrage of fire that forced it to adjust. Aisha's precision shots disrupted its balance, while Sophia's override sent another drone crashing into its side. Eliza reached the vent, her hands steady as she planted the last of her charges. Time seemed to stretch as she set the timer, every second feeling like an eternity. Done, she shouted, rolling away just as the explosion erupted. The walker shuddered violently, its glowing core exposed. Sparks cascaded like fireworks as it collapsed, a deafening crash signaling its demise. The battlefield fell silent save for the crackle of flames and the hiss of cooling metal. The remaining drones faltered, their movements erratic, before going still. Eliza rose from the sand, her uniform scorched, but her resolve unbroken. The Valkyries regrouped around her, their faces streaked with dirt and triumph. Tarsinia's voice returned, no longer mocking, but edged with something like fear. You have proven resourceful, perhaps more than I anticipated. But this is far from over. Eliza met her team's gazes, a steely determination in her eyes. Let her bring whatever's next, she said. "We're ready." The distant hum of reinforcements echoed in the desert air, promising that the fight was far from finished. The battlefield was quiet now, the stillness broken only by the faint crackle of flames licking at the wreckage scattered across the desert sands. The Iron Valkyries stood amidst the chaos, their figures silhouetted against the smoldering remnants of alien machinery. Each of them bore the marks of battle, dust-streaked faces, scorched armor, and the weight of exhaustion pressing heavily on their shoulders, but their eyes burned with victory. Eliza Reyes adjusted the comlink on her wrist, her voice cutting through the static. "All units, report." "Carter here," Naomi replied, her voice rough but triumphant. She leaned against her machine gun, the barrel still warm from relentless fire. "Still kicking. Just need a cold drink and a minute to reload." Malik status. Aisha crouched near the edge of a shattered barricade, her rifle balanced on her knee. "All clear," she said, scanning the horizon through her binoculars. "No movement. Looks like we've got a moment to breathe." "Sophia?" Eliza asked, her gaze shifting to the youngest of the group. Sophia was seated cross-legged on the sand, the glow of her tablet illuminating her dirt-smeared face. She gave a tired but determined smile. "Systems are stable for now. I've locked down the remaining drone signals, but we should expect a counterattack if Tarsinia's serious about this not being over." "She's serious," Eliza said grimly, turning her gaze upward. The alien command ship still loomed, its sleek silhouette ominous against the sunlit sky. It hadn't moved during the battle, but its presence was a constant reminder that the conflict was far from resolved. The calm crackled to life again, and Tarsinia's voice filled the air. It was no longer laced with mockery, but carried a sharp edge of frustration and something deeper, uncertainty. "You've demonstrated a resilience I did not anticipate. I underestimated your tenacity, but surely you understand that resistance is futile. Surrender, and I may yet spare your planet." Eliza keyed her comlink, her tone unyielding. "Your forces lie in ruins, and you've seen what we can do with what you consider primitive. If you think we'll bow now, you're sorely mistaken." A pause stretched over the connection, and then Tarsinia responded, her voice quieter, almost contemplative. "You cling to defiance as though it were a virtue. Very well. If you wish to continue this futile struggle, so be it. Prepare for what comes next." The comm line went dead, and for a moment, silence returned. Naomi broke it with a low growl. "I've had just about enough of her superiority complex. What's the plan, Commander?" Eliza considered their options, her mind racing. The Valkyries had held the line against overwhelming odds, but the fight had taken its toll. Supplies were dwindling, and fatigue weighed on them all. Yet surrender was not an option. "Sophia," Eliza said, "can we use their tech against them? Anything you pulled from those drones that might give us an edge?" Sophia nodded, her fingers already flying over the tablet. "I've been analyzing their comm frequencies. If I can breach the command ship's network, I might be able to disrupt their systems or even disable their shields temporarily. But I'll need time." "How much time?" Aisha asked, her rifle still trained on the distant horizon. 10 minutes, maybe less," Sophia replied. "But if they catch on, they'll shut me out, and we'll lose the advantage." "Then we keep them busy," Eliza said, her tone decisive. "Naomi, set up a defensive line. Aisha, cover Sophia, and make sure nothing gets through. We hold the ground no matter what they throw at us." The team moved with purpose, their exhaustion forgotten as adrenaline surged anew. Naomi hauled her machine gun into position, reinforcing the barricade with whatever debris she could find. Aisha scouted the perimeter, marking potential entry points for a counterattack. Sophia worked with laser focus, her tablet emitting a soft hum as she delved deeper into the alien systems. Minutes ticked by, each one stretching into an eternity. The desert remained eerily still, the tension thick enough to taste. Then, a low hum began to build, growing louder with each passing second. The command ship stirred, its underside glowing with an intense, otherworldly light. "They're making their move," Aisha warned, her voice steady despite the fear that clawed at the edges of her mind. Drones poured from the ship like a swarm of metallic locusts, their sleek bodies gleaming as they descended. They moved with precision, forming tight formations as they zeroed in on the Valkyrie's position. Naomi opened fire, her machine gun roaring to life once more. The heavy rounds tore through the first wave, but more kept coming, their energy blasts carving through the barricade. "Sophia, how's it looking?" Eliza called out, firing her own weapon to cover Naomi's flank. "Almost there," Sophia shouted, her voice strained. Just a few more seconds. A sudden blast rocked the ground, and the command ship's shields flared, rippling with visible distortion. Sophia's eyes widened in triumph. "I've got it. Their shields are down." Eliza didn't waste a moment. "Naomi, target the ship. Aisha, focus on keeping the drones off her." The team moved in perfect synchrony, their actions a seamless dance of precision and determination. Naomi's machine gun unleashed a torrent of fire at the now vulnerable ship, the bullets punching into its hull with devastating effect. Explosions rippled along its surface, sending debris raining down. Tarsinia's voice returned, desperate and angry. "Enough. You cannot comprehend the consequences of your defiance." "Watch us," Eliza muttered, her focus unwavering. The command ship let out a deafening groan as its engines faltered, the massive structure listing to one side. Drones spiraled out of control, their movements chaotic without the ship's guidance. A final, cataclysmic explosion tore through the vessel, and it began to fall, its massive form crashing into the desert with a thunderous impact. As the dust settled, the Iron Valkyries stood together, battered but unbroken. The wreckage of the alien ship smoldered in the distance, a testament to their resolve. Eliza activated her comlink one last time. "Tarsinia, if you're still listening, take this message back to your people. Humanity isn't just surviving, we're thriving. And if you ever think of underestimating us again, remember what happened here." The silence that followed was deafening, and for the first time since the battle began, it felt like victory.